The Shlichut program is a cornerstone in our community, bringing dedicated young emissaries from Israel to engage with our Cleveland community. These emissaries, or shlichim, play a pivotal role in strengthening the bond between our local Jewish community and Israel. Through cultural exchange, dialogue, and shared experiences, they bridge the gap between communities, continents, and generations. It is my absolute pleasure to invite up Itay, who's going to speak to us about his experience, and especially now because he's about to return to his studies in Jerusalem at Shalem College, where he will continue to blend critical thinking with deep exploration of Jewish thought and culture. But in the spirit of the book of Devarim, Deuteronomy, we couldn't let you cross back over into the promised land without regaling us with your insights, with all of the wisdom and experiences that you've collected along the way. It's my great pleasure to invite up Itay to share your journey with us. Please welcome Itay.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Jacob, for introducing me. Rabbi Rosenbaum, Cantor Rosenbaum, Jeshurun President Scott Madasar, I am really, really excited to be here. So again, thank you for having me. I don't think you realize how far this is from where I would ever imagine myself 10, 15 years ago. I'd like to start with a short anecdote. About 13 years ago, I was studying for my bar mitzvah. And do you know those teenagers who are not really into studying to their bar mitzvah? It's not really into it. They think they could do something way better with their time, something way more important and significant. So I was that teenagers. I was trying to reject all Jewish religion as I saw it back then. And I'll never forget how I was negotiating with my bar mitzvah tutor about the length of the portion I will read. After a back and forth between the sides, basically like Camp David summit, we reached an agreement. Rabbi will cut it a bit shorter, and I'll have to write a sermon about something that is important to me. Being here in front of you today, after 2 years of working with this just incredible community, and standing on the stage and speaking to you is the best closure I could ask for. And I'll explain why a bit later in this talk. I was born in Haifa to a Mexican mom who made Aliyah at the age of 14, and a Tzabar father with a Palmach roots, dug deep in the land of Israel. When I introduce myself to people here, I always say I grew up in Haifa, and I always say also known as the Paris of the Middle East. Whether people believe it or not, that's a different conversation, to be honest. But I truly feel it has a significant part in me shaping my character as someone who's interested in people and interested in perspectives. When I started attending high school at Liobek Education Center in Haifa, one of the only schools in Israel that are affiliated with the Reform movement, as I said, my interest in Judaism was very little. Also, there wasn't much I knew about the school. I was new to the environment. It was a huge high school, and I was still kind of trying to understand what is going on. I remember after English class in school, I was passing the synagogue offices where I did my bar mitzvah, and I thought it would be nice to jump in and say hi to the rabbi, say hello to the rabbi. It was always a very welcoming figure. I always remember him as such. And his initial unexpected reaction to seeing me was offering to go and join a teen exchange program to America with a Jewish temple on the Upper East Side called Sharei Tefillah. And I had a day to decide, and I decided to go for it. I'm not sure why, but I know that was a turning point for me. For the first time in my life, I felt I could find myself within Judaism. I met American Jews who are similar to me, but take a proactive and a conscious decision to be Jewish and preserve their identity. I felt like I share something with communities I wasn't even aware of, their modern Jewish lifestyle, and I could actually relate to it for the first time. And all of that is in addition to their connection to Israel, to their connection to the people of Israel. And after this turning point in my own personal Jewish identity, I took every possible opportunity to find and connect with Jewish communities in the diaspora. I went to lead on a summer camp in North London. I led another teen exchange program to New York. I participated in a gap year program between high school and the Army with participants from all over the world, coming from different religions, different countries, different backgrounds. And those experiences helped me understand why I want to take an active part in our Jewish peoplehood, not only affecting my life in Israel, but making an impact, even if it's the smallest, on world Jewry. After finishing my gap year, I drafted to the Army and served as a commander for the air traffic control course. I have a lot of stories about that, but we'll save it for another time. When I finished my service, I was ready to take the next step in working and experiencing communities outside of Israel, and I knew the next step for me is through shlichut. Do you know when you want to learn a language, you have to go to a place and you have to leave it in order to actually challenge yourself and swim in the local water? And that's how it was for me. Even though I came with more than the average Israeli knowledge about communities in the diaspora and in the States in particular, living in Cleveland was different from my expectation. Throughout my time here, my focus have been connecting with young adults. Now, as I'm sure you're quite aware, many of them are not the first one to knock on the institution's door. So how do you even connect with a population that isn't regularly gathering somewhere? Well, it took me some time to understand it, but it was always intertwining with their connection to the actual community. So you have to be out there where they're at. And if I can help young people create meaningful connections with each other and forming a young Jewish professional community, they will remember who helped them create those connections. And maybe they'll remember a face, maybe a conversation, a discussion they had, or a session you created. And for that, I'm very thankful for having a partner such as The Bridge and Sydney Unger, who's sitting here. She is, by the way, the first young Clevelander I spoke to, and maybe one of the first one I've met when I actually arrived to Cleveland. And since then, we've created sessions and events together. We consulted and supported each other. And I'm so glad to see how The Bridge has evolved throughout my time here and has made a massive difference in young Jewish life here in the city. And I'm sure it will continue to do so for a long time. During my time in Cleveland, I learned how can a community unite towards a common goal, focus on issues that have consensus in order to promote and work towards a better future. I learned how, from a practical perspective, diverse community that has so many shapes, religious streams, political affiliations, can create mechanisms that help it sustain itself. I believe we have quite a lot to learn from it back in Israel. I learned for the first time in my life about the unique philanthropic character of the Jewish community here. How can giving even a small donation can make an individual feel that he or she or they are invested and they're an active part of it? One of the things I would love to take back to Israel is how the community here in Cleveland embraces tradition and modernity, and how the dynamic approach to Jewish life helps create that balance. In the more secular sectors, which I come from, but also in the religious ones of the Israeli society, we have a way to go on that sense. And I'm sure exposures and experience like I personally had here would help them find that balance as well. Now, I would like to say something briefly about the elephant in the room. Many of you are following the current political climate, the current situation in Israel with concern for a state that we love and that we support. It's a place where some of us grew up, traveled to, have family, friends at, experience that they had. Now, I can't predict where will we be in 6 months from now, probably not even 2 or in a month. But one thing I can say for certain is how much people care and how active and outspoken people on all sides have become lately for what they see as the good of the state and its future. I could only hope that we could divert all of our concerns towards a solution or a compromise and a quieter days among us as people. On that note, I want to say that for me, this is a real closure, a closure for Itay back then in his bar mitzvah, giving a sermon with a very, very completely different mindset. And I'm very thankful and grateful for the empowerment your community has given me. Many of the people here in Bnei Jeshurun opened their homes and their hearts to me and provided me with family, love, support throughout my time here. And I hope I would be able to give back even the slightest bit of what I received here in Cleveland, and that nothing could make me happier than that. So thank you so much for having me.
Yasher Koch Itay, thank you for not just your beautiful words, but for making such an impactful couple years here. You know that Bnei Jeshurun will remain your home always. You're always welcome back. We'll miss you so much. And we know that the next time we're in Israel, it's already more, even though it's already our home and always will be, there's something even more homey about it now that we have this undying relationship with you. So thank you for everything, and we'll miss you. Nesiya Tova. We continue now with Musaf. We rise for Chatzi Kaddish, page 184.